What's up, Maniacs? Got a really special one for you today. Today we're going to chat with Mike Peyton, the Chief Motorer and the Vice President of MINI of the Americas. And we're going to talk to him a little bit about the GP3 competition process, what his favorite MINI model is, what the GP4 could potentially look like, and a bunch of other fun stuff. So let's go ahead and check that out right now. So when I picked up the car, it was delivered to me by Mike Peyton, the VP, Vice President of MINI of the Americas, and also known as the Chief Motorer. And we are lucky enough to have him on the line today. So, Mike, how you doing today? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm not as good as you though. Having GP number one, right? So
It's been a
cool.
great week, yes, for sure. But yeah, so I want to talk to you a little bit about the GP3 and the process of delivering that. So I'm going to get right into a couple of GP3 questions to start. So what was it like for you, the whole GP3 process? I mean, when you came on, you started to see, I'm assuming, some testing going on at the ring, and then into the production phase, and then into the learning that the US was going to get number one. And what was that like for you, that whole process too?
Yeah, there was a lot of pieces to that puzzle for sure. I mean, so first of all, when they had envisioned doing the third iteration of GP, here it is that it's the most powerful Mini we've ever built, and just all the things that go into this product and the testing of the product. It was really exciting, for just kind of first finding out that we were doing this, and with having just a lot of the heritage of the previous GPs, and some were packages to products. This was really a vehicle we knew that it had to be the real deal. It had to just deliver on both the heritage of GP, but then it had to be just almost over the top. And
Right.
so that part was really cool. And you're right, a lot of the initial testing, the Nürburgring times, just a lot of really cool things that we could really tout around this car. And then we started getting into this discussion about, well, okay, serial number one.
Mm.
A lot of different things you could do with serial number one. And we looked at a lot of different options. And the first question was, well, where's it going to go? Because well, should it go to the UK? Where it's such a the home of the brand, or where could it be? Where should it be? And so we did a lot of lobbying because many in the U.S. U.S. is really an important market for us. We got a lot of really passionate owners here, like yourself.
Yes.
And we thought, you know what, let's first do some lobbying to see if we can get it here, and then we'll kind of talk next about what would we do with it.
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. At what point did you figure out that you were going to get the first GP here in the U.S.? And then how did you and the team come up with the idea and the rules for that video submission contest? The rules were a little difficult. That 30.1 seconds for me was really tough to get it down into there. So kudos on that one rule there.
Yeah. So well, one, we've got a lot of different options that we looked at. There was probably 20 different things on the list. Everything to, well, should we auction it off for charity, right? And because that would be a cool thing to do. But then we had a lot of discussions too about, well, we want to make sure it ends up in the right hands. We want to make sure it ends up with an enthusiast, somebody that can really appreciate what the car is all about. So we took a few things off the list, and of course, as we got into the whole COVID situation, it really changed then what was going to be realistic and what we could effectively do. So we had to start thinking remotely, what could we do digitally. And so that's when we kind of came up with, okay, if we had the option of people where they could do it at home, do some video submissions to tell us why they should kind of be worthy of being able to buy number one. We started down that path. And then the other question was, well, we started to get vehicles arriving, including number one. And we didn't want to hold things up for all the people that are waiting for their cars. So we very quickly said, well, okay, well, let's have a short amount of time. Let's ask people to put submissions forward. And it could have been 3 minutes, right? Well, then that's a lot of videos to go through and so on. And we're like, well, okay, 301 horsepower, 30.1 seconds. let's go with that. And so that got us kind of going down the road.
And that's how it came to be. Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
How many video submissions did you end up receiving? And I imagine you had to watch watch them a couple of times when you narrowed it down to a small group, or what was that like?
Yeah, we ended up with almost 50. So we had just under 500 pre-orders, and or just under 450 pre-orders, and we got about 50 people that said, "Okay, I'm going to do a video," and spent a lot of time looking at those, because there was just there's a lot of creativity as we kind of would expect. But then it was just, there was a lot of different nuances too. There's some people that involved their families, and they had kind of this whole generational enthusiasm for Mini, and they had all their minis there with them. Just a lot of really cool things like that, and just a lot of really great personal stories. So it was tough. At the end of the day, we kind of, we got through, and we boiled it down to kind of a top 10.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was also some of those critical nuances of, well, were you 30.1 seconds, or were you 29 seconds?
Yeah.
And we had kind of a panel of the leadership team, including myself, that went through, and then we kind of rated everything based on creativity and how passionate people were, and the story, and just the complexity of the video. And that then kind of scored everything. So we were trying to keep it, less completely subjective.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of fair for everyone. And then we ended up with, a short list, and it came pretty close for the final two.
Nice. I just edged them out. That's good.
So it was impressive.
Yeah, I imagine. I mean, the Mini community is full of pretty creative people. Whenever I go to meetups, there's a lot of interesting and creative people there. So I imagine these videos are probably pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, some people, you could definitely see they spent some time editing.
Mm-hmm.
There was some people that, maybe they were just reading something, but it was just a really passionate story. We had racers, we had, like I said, families. We had families that clearly have engaged with Mini all around the world. We had, people that had made their trip to the Oxford plant. So it was really a broad spectrum. And, there were some one-liners that kind of came out of some of the videos. One of the ones that's really stuck with me, and someone was explaining how, they bought a lot of minis, and they bought a lot of mini stuff, and as his friends were telling him that, he really had a problem. He said, "Well, I don't have a problem. It's just a mini problem." So
yeah.
funny.
So is there anything interesting about the contest that you wanted to share?
I just think the key thing is, that the contest really showed the passion, for the Mini community. It really showed that there's a ton of creativity out there, and it also just really reemphasized just the whole community, around the brand. And so, I mean, one, we're really glad we did it, and we're glad we didn't go down the route of an auction or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
because it definitely made it more personal. And as you got to see, we really, it was so important to us to make sure that we had a personal delivery and an in-person delivery. And the latest situations obviously made that a little challenging.
Yeah.
But it just happened, coincidentally, that it was kind of in the vicinity or worth a road trip, and it was a great excuse to get us all in a car and hit the road in our minis and get up there for it. But yeah, no, I think the whole contest in general was just it was a perfect example of what we would expect from the Mini community.
Yeah, no, it was great. I think couldn't have done it a better way. I don't think so. That was awesome.
Cool.
So I'm gonna pivot now to the other set of questions, and I want to first say that I just saw the new LCI refresh of the Countryman. Looks great. The marketing videos for it, I think, are much improved. I like seeing these nice long shots of the car, so you can really get to see the details on it. So congrats on that. I'm excited to see one of those in person, hopefully this fall when we get back together at some point. But
yeah.
Speaking of that, where do you see the Mini brand in the next 5 years, and what do you envision will be the same? What do you envision will be different from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, when you take a good example that, Countryman's a perfect vehicle to kind of show that things have really kind of changed. Minis definitely, they've gotten bigger. We've had an expanded product lineup, and those are definitely good things because we want to make sure that we're relevant to a broader cross section of people out there. I mean, definitely you're going to find that on the same side, we're definitely always going to be about really touting and focusing on our the British heritage. It's always going to be about fun to drive and go kart handling and the community aspect of our brand. But then at the same time, making sure that we're looking at trends and we're listening to our owners and we're hearing that feedback. It's also important as we kind of get into the next chapter, for instance, with Mini Electric, that we look at how does that fit? And I think there were a lot of people too that have said, oh, well, Mini, why did it take you so long to kind of come to the party with an electric vehicle? And it was really important for us. The first question was, well, does electric fit with Mini? And then the other question was, well, what does an electric Mini look like? What does it drive like? What's it sound like? And if you've ever driven one, or if you haven't yet, it's definitely worth getting out. It definitely shows that I think you'll see more and more of that. We'll be moving towards electrification in the future because it's a really good fit. The current Cooper SC that's out there, really fun to drive. Just the weight of the vehicle, the handling characteristics. It is, go-kart handling. It's all Mini, and you're going to see more and more of that. I think the other piece you'll start to see that's different is we continue to want to see how we can expand the portfolio, but then at the same time, if I maybe use the phrase kind of back to the future, you might see us look to see how we can get back to some things that maybe are from our heritage as well. So sure. I'll kind of leave it at that without eluding any secrets.
Sure, yeah. No, I understand. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to drive that electric Mini yet, but I've been excited about it the first time there was an electric Mini, which kind of led to the i3's creation, and now the i3's creation has kind of led back to the electric Mini's creation, which is kind of like full circle there. So I'm excited to try it, and I'm glad you were able to just keep it looking the same. There's no reason it can't look the same just with electric internals.
And that was really important. I mean, yeah. If you use the i3 for BMW, that's perfect example that they wanted the kind of the i vehicles to be different. Mm-hmm. For Mini, we wanted to make sure that it was definitely a Mini, that it was identifiable as a Mini, and a lot of feedback has definitely been people appreciate that.
Yeah.
And because it's there's so many electric vehicles that it's almost like they're looking different because they're trying for them to look different. Well, we wanted to make sure that it had the right handling characteristics. When you got inside, you felt like you were in a Mini. But the key is when you drive it, and that was, I think that's been the question in a lot of people's minds, like, what's it going to be like, and what's it going to sound like? Yeah. And you get in it, it's just a blast. It's a blast to drive. I've even heard a few people coming off of some autocross courses where we've had Cooper S and an electric Mini. I've heard some people said that it might even be even more fun.
Yeah,
that's even possible.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
Cool.
That's pretty awesome. Cool. Yeah, so a little farther out, a little more than 5 years, we have a GP4 presumably coming one day. How likely do you think that will be an all-electric model? If you could predict the future, 7 to 10 years from now, what's that lineup look like, and is the GP4 an electric one?
Yeah, well, I mean, while we can't speculate on future product, I mean, I think to your point, I think the GP heritage and John Cooper Works, absolutely, we need to see where does that go and how do we continue to deliver upon that promise and deliver upon that performance. And based on, is it electric? I don't know. I think electrification certainly would be a really good fit for JCW products. So I think there's definitely something we should take a look at. I think there'll definitely be something in the future in the GP heritage for sure. And could it be electric? That might be a very interesting possibility. So yeah, it's something I think that we're seriously thinking about. How do we, again, look at the whole portfolio, but then when you talk about performance and electrification, it's really key.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
cool.
It's exciting. I'm excited to see, in the future, JCW and GP4, 5 models that'll be electric. I think they'll be pretty fun to drive.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I've had, at this point, this is my fourth Mini. And so I've had a Gen 1, a Gen 2, and 2 Gen 3s. And so in the Gen 1 and Gen 2s, whenever I take people for rides in them, friends or family, first thing they mention is, oh man, look at that speedometer in the center. That's so weird and big and fun and exciting and neat and different. And
Yep.
it's a hark back to the classic minis that had that. And so then we get the third gen that has the electric or electronic, center console, which the possibilities are endless. It's a screen, you can display whatever. Is there a legal or technical reason we can't have a speedometer in that electronic center console to kind of, match the first and second gen minis that we've seen that have that?
Yeah. So I mean, there's a few different things at play. So I mean, obviously, there's just feedback over time from customers. While that whole center, it's so iconic, right? And that was one of those cool things that people loved. At the same time, there was also feedback about does it become a potential distraction, with some of the safety regulations and so on, and trying to keep people's eyes on the road. That's definitely something we started to look at. Where's the information that you're digesting? Where should that be?
Mm-hmm.
So then you've seen that migration, to more of that cluster in front of the dealer.
Right.
You've definitely aren't in front of the driver. Sorry. Then you've also started to see, the heads-up display, and so you've got information presented in that fashion. And then in the Cooper SE, and you'll start to see this in like the new Countryman as well. You'll see the new digital display. And, I think that's in the GP as well, right? So you've had a chance to kind of experience that,
Yep.
That firsthand. And so that's some of where we are really looking at how do we present information, all the information, how do we do it in a more relevant and engaging way. But it's interesting, with that question, it does make me think, if it was the only place you were seeing your speedometer, that's one thing.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a supplemental place,
Right.
and it's like, hey, I wanted to have like a big, miles per hour on my center console. It's like, I don't know. It's kind of it's an interesting idea. So I
Right.
mental note to take that away.
So while editing this, I was thinking about how fortunate we are in the U.S. to have Mike as the VP of Mini USA. He seems to be a really great guy, really approachable, easy to talk to. How often can you say that about other VPs for other car brands? So he's super cool, understands the products really well, listens to motor feedback, and is just an all-around great guy from my encounters with him so far. So if you ever see him out there driving, definitely give him a wave and say hello. And with that, let's get back to the interview. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I still use the speedometer that's in front of me or the heads-up display, but if just to have it up there as a decoration for the party gag, so friends can see it, I think it'd be a lot of fun. So
I like it. I like the idea.
So obviously Mini Takes the States was unfortunately had to be shelved this year, but hopefully next year it can happen once we can clear up this pandemic. Do you see yourself attending all of Mini Takes the States 2021?
I'll be there for all of it. I was really hoping for it this year, and because actually 2 years ago, when I was with Motorrad at the time, I actually got to go to the closing, party in Keystone, Colorado.
Right.
And so it was really awesome. I had my whole family there. So my plan again now next year is definitely we'll be doing the drive, and my family will join me as well. Right. And it's just you can't miss that. I think it'll be just some really, really iconic drives that are kind of on the East Coast that we'll be going through. definitely integrating our performance center and the chance for some people to kind of get out on the track that, it's not always an opportunity for everybody. And so, yeah, I think it'll be an awesome party. I was really, really, really hoping, that by July this year, that, we'd be able to kind of start get back to normal. I think it'd be an opportunity for everyone to just, say, oh my God, I've been cooped up and I want to see some friends and I want to get out and drive. And, just the reality of that being real right now. It was an unfortunate decision, but it was the right decision.
Yeah.
The good news is that, we're right back to the planning. It's, essentially the same route. Everything's, staying in place. It gives us a little bit of time to kind of tweak some things as well if need be. But I think it'll be a great party, and so looking forward to seeing everybody, in person then, and hopefully we'll be definitely back to a new normal then.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it too. Looking forward to taking GP1 out there. So
nice. Well, I'm sure there's going to be some people that want to see it in the flesh. We might have to have a special area for it, and of course, I'm sure people will want to see you out on the track in it.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram friend requests in the last week. So yeah, a lot of people are interested in it. So it's its own little celebrity, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
So besides that GP3 model, what is your current favorite Mini model?
Oh, I've got a couple. So my current, right now I'm driving a JCW Countryman, and I'm all about the 301 horsepower, and that is just a blast to drive. So that's my daily driver right now. Nice. I'm an emerging fan of the Cooper SE, just because I've had a chance to kind of put that through its paces in a variety of different formats, here and over in Europe as well. And that's just, like I said, it's surprising. Yeah. And it just puts a big smile on your face. So that's definitely one of my emerging favorites. And but then more from a classic standpoint, kind of the Austin 7 and some of just the classic minis. I got a picture of one of those, I think, up on my my LinkedIn and a couple other social sites, and that just kind of just brings you back to what it's all about. And there's something about analog and just the rare essence of it all, and kind of how it all started. So that's near and dear to my heart as well. So, but it's tough to go wrong, right? Any choice is great.
Yeah.
Because in all the products, we're trying to make sure that any Mini is truly a Mini. Any Mini gets you into the whole community, right? It's comes with friends, as they say.
Yeah.
And it's just, I think it's really a lot of our products are just every product puts a smile on your face.
Yeah, it does. So yeah. Any closing remarks? Anything you want to end this with? Say anything?
My big thing is congratulations again, obviously, to you. And I think it's exciting for us that obviously the 0001 is with the right home, someone that can appreciate it and someone that's going to enjoy it. And so I hope that you get a chance to get out on the road and actually, put that car through its paces and really get to enjoy it once things kind of get back to normal a bit. And, the other part is I just, as you said, like with Mini Takes the States and everything, all of us at Mini USA, we look forward to getting back on the road and seeing kind of all the friends, family in our community in person really soon.
Well, cool. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate your time talking today, and hope to see you out in Mini Takes the States 2021, or if not sooner.
Sounds good. See you soon.
Bye. So yeah, that was it. That was my chat with Mike. Super great guy. If you get a chance to do Mini Takes the States 2021, I highly recommend you do it. It's going to be a blast. I'm going to bring GP1 with me, and I'll hopefully see you there. But yeah, leave any comments or questions you have below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, don't forget to wave when you see other minis.